Hi, and welcome back to the Rentabike channel. Now, you've booked your flight and you've planned your route, and now you're ready to tackle the Ha Giang Loop or the Cao Bang Loop, northern Vietnam. But there's one small document, a little grey booklet that stands between you and a legal ride, and that is the International Driving Permit. At Rentabike, we see it every day. A rider shows up with a plastic card that they bought online for $50, $70, and they think that they're legal. Now, the thing is, they aren't. A rider from the USA that shows up with an official AAA permit or a Canadian with a CAA permit, they don't realize that it's the wrong treaty for Vietnam. It's the 1949, not the 1968. It's not valid. Vietnam's police have ramped up their checkpoints. They're strictly enforcing the law, and this idea of giving a little bit of coffee money and get blasting through a checkpoint is fading very fast. So here I'm going to tell you what an IDP is, what it isn't, and exactly what you need to ride legally in Vietnam and have your insurance cover you. So what is an IDP? It's a little grey booklet that will accompany your home driving license. It translates it into several languages, and it also shows what permissions you have to drive or ride whatever vehicles on your home license. Now, the catch is that there are several different types of IDP, the 26, the 49, and the 68. Now, most countries will adhere to either the 49 or the 68. And unfortunately, Vietnam does not adhere to the 1949 agreement. They didn't sign it. They signed the 1968. So very simply, you need to have a 1968 IDP to drive here legally. If you've got a 1949, like Americans, Canadians, Australians, Singaporeans, then you cannot drive here legally on that license. Now, also online, you're going to see a lot of talk about international driving licenses. And this is not just semantics here. This is a distinct difference. You need to have an international driving permit, not an international driving license. The international driving licenses are not governed by any regulated authority, and they are not legal in Vietnam, and I would vouch that they're not legal in any other country. They're simply organizations that are trying to make money from you. Whether or not on the ground a cop accepts this, that's a different story, but your insurance companies are going to look into this very closely. So once again, your real IDP is something that you're going to get at the post office or PayPoint in the UK, might be issued by your automobile association back at home, or your RAC. It usually costs very little, around $5 to $15 US. The litmus test is if you bought a license online and they sent you a PDF or a plastic card, then it's a scam. Some riders are caught in what we call the country trap, and again, those are the riders from US, Australia, Singapore, Canada, India, and they can get a 1949 IDP. Unfortunately, that's not valid here. So you might think, can I convert a 49 to a 68? No, you can't. Can you get a Vietnamese license? Well, yes, but you need to be on a visa that's longer than 3 months, and you typically need to have a TRC, which is a temporary residency certificate. These are not easy to come by, and as a tourist, it's not going to happen. So what do? You're from a 1949 country, you're caught in the country trap, you can physically rent a bike, but you're riding at your own risk regarding the law and insurance. So many riders still choose to do it, but at Rentabike, we definitely tell you full transparency. If you crash, there's very little we can do to help you. If you're from one of these countries and you have a 1949 IDP, then we strongly suggest you get an easy rider, a local driver that will drive you around on the back as a pillion, and that's a much more legal way to do things. Now, I mentioned before about permissions or endorsements, and the IDP is simply a translation of your license. It is of equal value in terms of all of the endorsements that you have. It doesn't give you any extra privilege, and it doesn't mean that you can say, oh, I want to ride the Ha Giang Loop, and I'm going to do that on a motorbike, I can use my car license. No, it doesn't work that way. If you have a car license, and that's the B category, on the IDP there will be a box for the B category and it will have a stamp in it if you have a car license. Now equally, there's A and A1 also on the IDP, and you need to have those stamped so that you have then permission to drive a motorbike in Vietnam. Now there are plenty of myths around all this knowledge, and one of them is, oh, it's just a scooter, I don't need a license. Well, yeah, sure. Anything up to 50cc, you don't need a license. You simply need to be 16 years or older, and then you can drive legally. However, if that's fine around town, but if you're going to go on some kind of trip, long distance trip, or if you're going to go through the mountains, then we really don't recommend a 50cc bike, and we won't rent it to you for that purpose. Now, if you want to be bulletproof, then you're going to need to carry the royal flush of documents. That will make you 100% safe, legal, and insured. It goes like this. You need your original home license. You need an original paper, not digital, 1968 Vienna Convention IDP. You need your passport. A copy of this is fine, depending on where you are. And you need the blue card, that's the vehicle registration for the bike. We give you a copy of that. And finally, you also need the civil liability insurance. That's commonly referred to as the yellow slip, and it's for third-party cover. However, that's not really worth the paper it's written on. It's extremely difficult to get paid out on a claim for third party for that. We have all these for all of our bikes, and we give you a copy of them anyway. Vietnam is a fantastic place to ride, but the administration is a little bit specific. So take this all to heed, and don't let a little slip up in paperwork ruin your holiday, or worse still, ruin your bank account. If you're from the UK or the EU, get to your pay point, your post office or your motoring club, and get yourself a 1968 IDP. If you're from Australia, Singapore, Canada, India, be aware of the risks, and we recommend that you take an easy rider. At Rentabike Vietnam, we check your documents at the earliest possible chance. That could be when you first contact us on email, that could be when you arrive here in the shop. But it's definitely before you leave the shop on one of our motorbikes. We tell you whether your paperwork is accepted, legal, or not. We believe in transparency and making sure that you're fully aware of what you're getting into. If you'd like to rent a bike, then get in touch with us. We can give you a bike for a tour, for a long-term rental or a short-term rental. And we have offices in Hanoi, Da Nang, and Ho Chi Minh. So you can do one way north to south, you can do a loop in the north, and we've got all the knowledge. I've been here for 25 plus years. I know all the routes and can give you a lot of tips and advice on how to ride around the country. It's my passion. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this channel with your friends. It really helps. Drive safely.